Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome back into Gamecock Central. I'm Kendall Smith, joined alongside of Wes Mitchell here for another recruiting rundown. And Wes, it's been a minute since we've done one of these, but lots going on in the world of recruiting for South Carolina football. So we're answering some of your questions today, and then we'll be talking all about South Carolina football recruiting as well. So Wes, I want to kick it off by starting with last weekend. South Carolina welcoming some portal visitors to Columbia for official visits. Dylan Johnson, Eddie Lewis, and Malik McLean. And as South Carolina tries to kind of round out their portal class for this initial group that declared for the portal for the January period, tell me about those visitors and their experiences at Carolina this past weekend.
Yeah, second straight weekend, South Carolina hosted portal visitors, and, they're kind of making that final push. Obviously, the semester has already started at South Carolina, so if you're going to transfer in as a portal guy, you got to make a decision extremely soon. So they're trying to make a final push on those guys. Obviously, we know they want another receiver. They want another running back. Of the three, I would put it in this order as far as likelihood for South Carolina. Eddie Lewis, Memphis wide receiver. I think they're in a really good place with him. You look at Dylan Johnson, transfer from Mississippi State, but is currently verbally committed to Washington. So South Carolina is trying to flip him. He would probably be in the middle as far as likelihood of ending up at South Carolina. And then Malik McLean, Florida State wide receiver. Just didn't get it. I didn't hear as much feedback on him. Didn't seem like there was as much traction there. So generally that's a sign, in my experience, that person's not going to end up at South Carolina. So that would be the order right now as far as the likelihood that they end up at South Carolina.
And as South Carolina tries to get transfer guys to come to school here, they're also trying to fill out that 2023 class. And they've got two major targets that they're really pushing for here as they fill out the class. One being Elijah Caldwell out of Northwestern High School in Rock Hill, South Carolina. He's a wide receiver. And then, of course, the name that everybody knows, Nick Harbor, five-star athlete out of the DMV area. So, Wes, let's go ahead and start with the in-state guy, Elijah Caldwell. Where does South Carolina stand with him as the February signing period approaches?
Yeah, this is a kid that was committed to West Virginia for much of the process, made, I think, a really smart decision in that he decided to wait until February to sign. Wanted to see if maybe some other offers came in. He got a late offer from NC State that I think really piqued his interest. And then after the first signing day, he did end up getting an offer from Justin Stepp in South Carolina. The South Carolina coaches were actually by his high school late last week. He is working on setting up his official visit to Columbia. That could be this weekend. It could be next weekend. Either way, I expect that visit to happen. It feels like it's been South Carolina and NC State, but as the in-state school, I think the Gamecocks are in a really good spot here. I think it's more of a timing thing right now. When does he take the visit? When does he make a final decision? But I think playing in the SEC, playing at home are two pretty big factors here for him. So I think South Carolina has positioned themselves well. And, obviously they want another high school receiver in this class. So I think a great shot that Caldwell ends up being that guy.
Yeah, great news for South Carolina fans on where they stand with Caldwell. And like you said, an in-state guy. So even better for South Carolina being the flagship school. But we need to talk about Nick Harbor because he is a guy that has been on South Carolina's radar for a long time. He's been on the radar of fans for a long time. Five-star athlete out of the DMV area. He's making his decision on signing day in February. Wes, is Nick still, thinking of South Carolina? Are the Gamecocks still kind of hanging tough with some of these other big time programs that Nick is considering?
Yeah, Kendall, they are in it. I would dare say they have quietly positioned themselves. I think it's hard to say they're the favorite, but they have quietly positioned themselves in a really, really good spot. I think South Carolina feels great about where they are right now. They've really kind of tag teamed his recruitment. They've obviously had Sterling Lucas involved, Shane Beamer involved, Jody Wright involved. So you're talking about giving him the opportunity to play offense, play defense if he wants, and kind of just play whatever he wants at South Carolina. So I think as this thing, you're getting to the finish line, right? So all the final recruiting pitches are being made. South Carolina is planning on having several coaches at his track meet on Friday. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. And, you've got this Oregon visit this month, official visit that I think looms large for all the schools involved. I think they're going to be a factor in the end. Michigan, of course, Harbaugh has been flirting with NFL teams. The reports right now on Tuesday are that Harbaugh is probably staying at Michigan. So I think that's a factor here as well. All out push from all these schools. It's been a marathon. Now it's a sprint to the end for who is the number one athlete in the 2023 class, 5-star guy who is just really one of the best pure athletes I've probably seen since I've been covering recruiting.
And Wes, signing day is on February 1st, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So coming up here real soon, it is January 17th, Tuesday, January 17th. I know the dates. It's a great
17th?
thing. Big accomplishment for me. But yes,
So
January
proud,
17th is the date. Today, February 1st is National Signing Day for that February period. So we will hear from Nick Harbor on that day what he is going to do in regards to college football. Now, Wes, this weekend, another big recruiting weekend for South Carolina. It's Junior Day. We're going to have a ton more on this over on GamecockCentral.com, so be sure to check us out there. But any little preview as to what this weekend is going to hold for South Carolina recruiting?
Yeah, I would expect South Carolina to make a push to have, probably most, if not all, their top in-state guys in for 2024. I'm sure they'll have some 2025 guys in as well, some North Carolina, some Georgia kids too. This will be the first big recruiting day that is specifically for these class of 2024 prospects. So this is how the process works now. You have all these different sort of sections. You start with junior days, then you get into spring practice and spring games, then you get into camps in the summer. But as far as these guys go, a real, I think, push for South Carolina with some of the in-state guys to maybe get them to lock in on some decisions. And I think next week, Kendall, is going to be pretty big for South Carolina in general. We'll talk about that more leading in. But as of right now, there are actually 3 class of 2024 prospects who will be announcing their decisions next week. You got Cam Pringle, who's going to announce on Sunday at 1 o'clock. You got Wendell Gregory, a 4-star linebacker from Georgia. He's going to announce next week. And then you've got Michael Smith, a 4-star tight end from Savannah, who is also going to announce next week. So some big decisions coming up for priority targets for South Carolina in that 2024 class. So you got Junior Day on Saturday, and then 3 big decisions to watch. If you're a recruiting person, you're going to want to go ahead and be, tuning in, paying attention to what's going on with that class next week.
Yeah, dialed in for sure. And I know Gamecock fans are hoping and expecting to see some more welcome home tweets from Shane Beamer. And we actually saw one last night from Shane Beamer. So Wes, we got this question on the Insiders Forum. First of all, how many silent welcome homes are there still as of right now? And then can you give us any little maybe insight as to what that welcome home last night was about?
Yeah, I've almost lost count of the welcome homes. I'll be honest with you. There are 2 just unannounced welcome homes for 2024 still out there. And then for 2023, I believe it's just the one that I would say is still officially committed. We'll say it like that. And that was the one from Monday night, late night welcome home. I don't think fans are going to have to wait long there. And I mean, y'all aren't stupid. You can put the pieces together. Obviously, there were 3 visitors on campus this weekend. We know it's a 2023 prospect, so you can start checking off who it is. You can figure it out.
We're going to leave it at that for this recruiting rundown, Wes. Thank you so much for your insight, as always. Thank you to everybody for watching. Lots and lots and lots of things happening in the world of recruiting for South Carolina. So again, check us out at GamecockCentral.com. Follow us on social media at Gamecock Central. We will keep you locked in with everything that you need to know. And until the next time we see you, I'm Kendall Smith. He's Wes Mitchell, and this has been the Recruiting Rundown on Gamecock Central.